Because people are afraid because they have this self-doubt about me being able to generate X amount of dollars in revenue to get my pay.
Yeah.
Because maybe they've never produced that much,
Right.
or they only produce that much once in a while.
Yeah.
Again, are we training the right way? Are we coaching them individually? It's not always a group. Yeah, we have our group meetings, but where's Bob falling short?
Yeah.
On his over under 1,500.
Right.
Because he's only getting 12%. What's it going to take to convert more of these jobs? Well, let's look at these jobs.
Yeah.
Let's look at the options you provided. And then if you're providing good options, but it's not happening, it's a communication issue. How are we competing? Let's role play.
Yeah.
Let's role play and share with me how you're presenting the options, because that could be the problem. What I like them to do before they even start talking to their people about it, right? If you want to make the jump, is start running the dual payroll, what they would have got compared to what they have.
Right.
So you can see if it's going to make sense to them. Because just think about it. No, you're in a truck, you're working, you think you're working hard, 40, 50 hours a week.
Right.
You're getting paid X amount of dollars, right? If we switch, I'm going to work just as hard and make, $300 less a week. You're not going to convince me.
Right.
Right. So the concept is, let's do the training now to where when I'm running that side by side, they're actually taking a $300 pay cut by not being on it.
Right.
And it's got to be a consistency. So when you make the decision, you have to make the decision.
Right.
You can't go back and forth. Because what happens with these guys, they have 2 or 3 good weeks. I was just talking to a member the other day. The guy got paid $4,000 last week. The next week was a little rougher week. Oh, I want to go back on hourly. Like, okay, so you can't take the wins, and then when you don't win, it's not a one-way street. Right? There's going to be some ups and downs.
Yeah.
The concept is, are there going to be more ups than downs?
Yeah.
So it's about running it parallel without them knowing.
Right.
So that you could see, does it make sense at this point? And if it doesn't make sense at this point, what changes am I going to have to make? Because these folks don't grow on trees, right?
Right.
So if we're doing it tomorrow.
Yeah.
You lose 3 or 4 or 5.
Right.
I had a company that did that, and they lost 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
Well, that was half of his trucks empty now. So now his production's down to 50%. Now he's not hitting his break even, and we got a problem.
Right.
Right. So you can't just, some people will just say, oh, just do it. Well, yeah, you can't just do it.
Yeah.
You have to be ready to do it. And that's why I say run it side by side.
Yeah. And you have to sell them on the why.
Yeah.
Right, that whole time. Why it's going to help you. It's going to help
you. What's in it for me?
Right.
What am I going to get out of it? And the other thing is, am I providing that person with the proper training?
That's where I was going to go next, because you can't go and then let them hang out to dry and not get them out.
Yeah. That's why, see where they are.
Yeah.
All right. Now we have to work on it. I'm not even talking to them about it yet. I want to see where we are.
Right.
On that kind of pay plan. And if everybody's going to go backwards, I need to work on getting them better. Right. Now I have to make some decisions on some folks. Are they trainable?
Yeah.
Right. Do they get it?
Yeah.
Right. So just running contests and things like that while they're still hourly, you see it, hey, can they do it?
Yes.
And then it's the training piece. Have they been, we provide some pretty outstanding training.
Yes.
If you send your folks to it.
Right.
Right. And I'm a fan of.
And yourself.
Yeah. And I know, things are challenging, and so a lot of people do the online training. I'm not saying anything about online training other than, there's this immersion part of training, and then this, this consistent training that we're doing in our businesses.
Yeah.
That immersion of somebody coming to a place for 2 or 3 days, spending times with technicians that are doing the same things they're doing every day. And
no distractions.
No distractions, just getting immersed in what they're doing.
Right.
They'll get it, and they come back. Now you reinforce it.
Yes.
Right. And I think online's great for reinforcing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's 2.5 hours a day for 3 days, so they get the training in the morning, boom, they're out in the afternoon. They get the training in the morning, boom, they're out in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I think it's great reinforcement training.
Yes.
I'd like to see more folks coming to the live training. It's what's going to get them there.
Right.
Right. So if you go to some of these businesses and you say, okay, we're hourly because the guys, they're afraid of it. And that's where the fear comes from. You sit in a group of technicians in a training program where most of them are on production pay or performance pay, and they're making great money.
Right.
That's not a crazy idea.
Right. I better listen.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah. Because all they're hearing is the stuff over at the supply house about, oh, you go to hourly, you're guaranteed. They're hearing all that crap.
Yes.
Right. They need to hear from the people that are winning.
Right.
With the program.
Right.
And that comes through us.
Yeah. How often do you recommend those one-on-one situations where you're looking at the ticket?
At least every other week.
At least every other week.
Right.
Yeah.
But, you're identifying your folks.
Yes.
And if you got A's, B's, and C's, the concept is how do we get the C's to B's?
Right.
So I'll probably spending more time. I might be with them weekly.
Yeah.
Might meet with them the beginning of every week. We have our Monday meeting, and then they're staying after a little bit. And I meet with my C's and just talk about last week's calls and what we're going to do. Yeah.
Not beating them up.
No, coaching them up. That's it. And it's what are we going to do this week? Monday is about focusing on this week. Let's recap last week. What can we do different and better and go do it?